Hey guys, SuperHorrorBro Mike here, and in today's Bendy and the Ink Machine video, we take a look at Henry's secret audio recording found in Bendy Chapter 3, where he mentions a mysterious character known as Linda.
I haven't even seen Linda for days now.
So who exactly is Linda, and why would Henry be connected to her? Well, in this video we try to answer these questions logically, as well as piece together reasonable assumptions as I present you with 4 different scenarios. These are: Linda is Henry's partner, Linda is Henry's child, Linda is Henry's co-worker, and Linda is Henry's pet. I have listed these in order of probability and must remind you that these are simply theories, but I will try to explain my reasoning for each of these potential outcomes to give you a greater understanding of how I came to them. But let's begin with the most likely outcome, that Linda is Henry's wife or girlfriend. I want to begin by playing you guys the entire audio clip to give context to everything I will be discussing throughout this video, so let's take a listen.
Only 2 weeks into this company and already it's gotten interesting. Joey is a man of ideas. And only ideas. When I agreed to start this whole thing with him, I thought there'd be a little more give and take. Instead I give, and he takes. I haven't even seen Linda for days now. Still, someone has to make this happen. When in doubt, just keep drawing, Henry. On the plus side, I've got a new character I think people are gonna love.
Judging by what Henry is saying in this audio log, it seems as though during the early weeks and months of the studio's creation, he had a colossal workload. It seems as though Joey and Henry were business partners and set up the company together, but Joey was simply pawning off his share of the work on Henry and the other workers at the time, and instead concentrating on coming up with new ideas. This in part led Henry to frustration, and it sounds like in this frustration he created the character of Bendy, which launched the studio to early success. However, this success came at a price. Henry references a woman called Linda and says he hasn't seen her for days. From the way Henry words things here and the way he places such importance on this woman, it suggests she is someone he holds very close to his heart. It is unlikely she would be a parent, as Henry would have simply referred to her as Mom, so it's easy to conclude that Linda is most likely Henry's partner, either his girlfriend or wife. This is a situation that many people can relate to. Long hours at the office can ruin even the strongest of relationships, and so with this in mind, Henry's mysterious exit from the studio makes far more sense. While many of us believe Henry simply became sick and tired of Joey's hands-off approach to work and arrogant personality, these reasons may not have been what finally pushed Henry away. Rather, this early departure from the studio some 30 years ago may have been a result of Henry spending too much time away from Linda. As Henry watched their relationship crumble, he may have finally decided to throw in the towel and quit the animation industry in order to pursue happiness with the woman he loved. And I believe that this woman was Linda. This is a nice theory that ties up some loose ends and answers most questions regarding the secret audio from Henry in Chapter 3. However, things are not always as clear-cut as this, and so we must take a quick look at some other potential scenarios and theories. Let's move to the theory that Linda is Henry's child. Henry may have been married and had a child with his wife. This child may have been named Linda, and so could be the person Henry refers to in this recording. To most people, their children are the most precious things in the world, and so if Henry did have a child called Linda, then being away from her for long periods of time would have been very stressful for him. Much in the same way Henry would have quit his job over his relationship failing with his wife, the same can be said if Linda is Henry's child. Growing up wondering where her father was and why he didn't come home at night would have been tough on her, and may have been the catalyst for Henry's departure. There isn't much more to say on this one, the reasoning pretty much stays the same here. However, it is worth noting on both counts that the wheelchair Henry sees in his vision at the end of chapter 1 has a chance of being connected to Linda too. While it is most likely the wheelchair belongs to Joey Drew himself, especially if we are going with the Joey is Bendy theory, as Bendy has a limp, it is worth considering the possibility that Henry sees this wheelchair because it has a connection to a different character. The character who potentially caused Henry to terminate his contract and leave Joey Drew Studios behind him. Linda. If Linda was sick and wheelchair bound, whether she was Henry's partner or child is irrelevant. Henry would have wanted to care for her and be by her side. Meaning he recalls a vision of the empty wheelchair because Linda is now gone, and the memory of her illness while he worked away from her at the studio all those years ago still haunts him and is part of a reason why he came back after Joey messaged him. Henry's main reason for returning may have been to finally confront Joey about his late wife or child, and how due to Joey overworking him all those years ago, he missed out on the last good years of Linda's life. This theory is quite out there, but it's worth exploring all possibilities before we hopefully get some concrete answers in Bendy Chapter 5. Now we move on to the third theory of today's video, the notion that Linda may have been another employee at the studio with a connection to Henry. We have seen and heard from other female workers at the studio. Susie Campbell and Alison Pendle voice Alice Angel, and Lacey Benton was a worker on the maintenance team on Level S. With this in mind, it is entirely possible that the Linda mentioned in Henry's audio log may have been a worker at the studio in some capacity. Perhaps as part of the art department, as it was common for women in the 1930s to work as inkers, tracing over the frames of animation drawn up by artists in ink before they were run through the projector on celluloid. We can see this in Disney documentaries from the era, such as the one shown here. So Linda may have worked with Henry and become friends with him at the old workshop all those years ago. The problem with this theory is that we need to question exactly why Henry would have had a hard time seeing Linda if she was working out of the same building. Unless he worked on a different floor and literally had no time to get away from his desk at all during the day. This theory also raises a potentially huge plot point. If Linda was a worker at Joey Drew Studios, then she may show up as an inky creation herself in Bendy Chapter 5. So could a possible twist be that Henry has to confront his old friend in this final chapter? After all, there is the achievement, A Sweet Discovery, which states, "Say hello to an old friend." I believe this achievement either references Joey Drew or simply is the unlockable for discovering the hidden Meatley cutout in Chapter 5. But there is a chance it actually references Henry's reunion with Linda, if she was a fellow worker at the studio and someone close to Henry in the past. I'll leave you to consider that information as we move to our final theory of the day, that Linda was Henry's pet. This theory isn't one I have much faith in, and I'm only including it here as it was a thought that occurred to me while writing up this video. To many people, their pets, especially cats and dogs, are very near and dear to them. Henry may not have been in a relationship, he may not have had a child or close friend at the studio, but he may well have had a pet, such as a dog. And perhaps he named his dog Linda. Being away from Linda and leaving her in the care of a friend or simply in a pound would have been something that could have driven Henry away from his work and led him to turn his back on Joey and the studio. It's a less likely scenario for sure, but it is possible. After all, the saying goes, a dog is a man's best friend. And notice how in Henry's audio log, he references his new character directly after speaking about the mysterious Linda. Could it be that Boris the Wolf was Henry's creation? I've always assumed that Henry was referencing Bendy here, but if Linda was Henry's pet dog and he was spending a lot of time away from her, then maybe, just maybe, he created a dog-like character in her place. a male character in order to appeal to more audiences of that era, but one which had some of the mannerisms of his faithful companion Linda. And this could explain Henry's close bond with the character in Chapter 3. Even if the Boris clones are workers, as I have theorized in the past, they would still have a connection to Henry as the creator of the character whose body they now inhabit. Again, I'm not really into this theory, but I wanted to put it out there for those of you who are interested in a more radical take on who exactly this mystery woman may be. As for the real answer to the question who is Linda, we must wait for more information in Bendy Chapter 5, although I'm not sure the game's creators will explain this mystery to us unless Linda is a character who shows up directly in the chapter itself. If not, then this video will forever be available for you to watch and draw your own conclusions from. As always, let me know what you think in the comments section below. And that's it for today's video. Please remember to give it a like if you did enjoy watching, and maybe drop a comment too, as well as subscribing to the channel and turning on notifications so you never miss an upload. This channel specializes in variety horror content, including creepypasta readings, horror gaming facts and theories, and general interest pop culture horror videos. So if you're interested in all things spooky, you'll find something to enjoy here at SuperHorrorBro. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video.